Boy, oh boy, the markets did not like that debate yesterday.
No, they didn't, Pete. Look, just to give you a bit of clarification about why it's quite interesting from a market perspective is if you look at the S&P all the way back to 1992, it has fallen when the incumbent has lost. So if even that includes, if you go to sort of 2000, when obviously we saw the end of the Clinton administration, and therefore there was a debate between Al Gore and also George W. Bush. It's the same also with Obama and John McCain. They call McCain the incumbent, they would call Al Gore the incumbent, but it has shown over the past that every time a changing administration is coming in, the market has fallen. And that's probably what happened yesterday. It's probably already expected that Biden is likely to win. And again, I know people might take that completely to a different factor, but the market did see that. The bookies very much moved out to the idea that there's now a 58% chance that a Biden will win. The market's picked up on that. US futures fell. Now, I know they were up this morning, and that's more around the fact that there now looks more likely, even with the fact that around about 2 minutes ago, they postponed the vote on the extension to the COVID bill, and Munchin and Pelosi will have one more day to debate that. But it's that idea that it's going to happen and push their markets up. But getting to the premise of your question, the market is building to the idea that there will be a change of administration and that a Biden win is likely to happen.
When it comes to energy stocks at the moment, they have had a rough ride lately, you know, given this transition away from oil, fuel to renewables. Yep. Do you believe that it's a shot sector?
To a point. I mean, what I'd argue, there's two parts to this. So first and foremost, we saw, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago now, BAP come out and say that they believe that the transition away from oil is about a decade ahead of expectation. So they expect oil to actually peak out in 2025. Most had expected it to be done in around about 2030. They're now actually saying that because of COVID, it's now this year. This is the peak of oil.
Wow.
There's another part of it. Yeah, exactly right. There's another part of it that comes to it as well, and that is the US election. If Biden is likely to win, markets are picking this up as well. So if you look at the energy sector on the S&P in the US, it's falling very, very fast in the last 60 days because Biden's policy in the last 60 days around the Keystone project, the big oil pipe that goes from Canada all the way down to Cushing's in Oklahoma, he actually wants to look at scrapping that. So that would be a big headwind to oil and energy as well, particularly around fossil fuels, and that feeds into gas. So for us here in Australia, we don't really have an oil sector per se, but we have a very big gas sector. Yeah. And that would be part of the market's movement. That's a global thing, because unfortunately, with regards to gas anyway, staying on that topic, the oil price very much ties the gas price to it. The question's always been, could sometime in the future they separate, because gas is seen as what they call a transmission fuel between what, again, looking at what the big companies say, 2050 is when the globe as a majority will use renewable energy as a way of power generation. But obviously we are still 30 years away from that. So there has to be some form of transition, and that's what they believe gas could be. But again, gas pricing still is connected to the oil price, and the oil price, as we know, had an unbelievable collapse in April, May. It's sitting at around $40 a barrel. It's incredibly cheap, and it therefore means for gas, it makes gas slightly almost uncompetitive in terms of what it is, because it's so cheap that you actually, you can't justify pulling it out of the ground. And Santos is a great example. They realistically need the oil price between $65 and $70 a barrel to realistically be breaking even. So it's why their projects over the last 5 to 10 years have been so heavily hit, because they're just not making any money.